Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of All Things Universal Orlando. Today, we're going to be looking at the top 5 mistakes to avoid before visiting Universal Orlando Resort. So before we begin, I want to remind you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you can be made aware every time we put out a new video. And remember to check us out on Instagram, and now you can also find us on Facebook for exclusive content. Let's get to it. What we're going to look at today are exactly that. Errors that people make, mistakes that I think people make when they plan their trip to Universal. Things they might not think through thoroughly, or things that they do and just regret doing later. We've all done that. I've done it, you've done it, everybody who's been there has done that. But that's not an indictment on you. Some of these things you guys might think are bad ideas. Some of these things might think, hey, man, I planned that way. What are you talking about? Mistake, that's the best thing that I do. And that's okay. These are just things that I think that you might want to avoid doing that should enhance your trip. I go to Universal all the time. Most of us watching this go to Universal, but some of you don't. Some of you use these videos as a way to help you plan for a better time, and I'm talking specifically to you guys. But for all of those people out there who don't do that, who do go and who do have tips, feel free to put your comments in there. I don't know everything, and well, neither do you. And so the more advice that we can give to people visiting, the better. So let's get right to it.
Great stunt number 5.
Don't try to do everything in one day, and it's tempting to do that. Before I even get into this, I want to say this. I would not recommend visiting Universal Orlando Resort for less than 3 days. I think you need at least a full day for each park, and I'm not even including Volcano Bay. And then you need a third day to go back and do all the things that you really liked, or maybe some of the things that you might have missed. If you're including Volcano Bay into that package, I think you're looking at 4 or 5 days. Universal Orlando Resort used to be a much smaller place, and now it's enormous. It's not Disney enormous, but it's getting bigger. And with them planning Epic Universe in a few years to open up, you're going to be looking at extending your stay. I think Universal has done a great job of creating a second hub, not even a second hub. For me, it's a first hub of Universal Orlando theme parks. There are so many things to do in Orlando, and now Universal is the top thing, in my opinion. But number 5 is unique, because we all have that tendency to go, well, hey, I'm going to go to studios or I'm going to go to islands and I'm going to get there and I'm just going to hit everything that I can do and get it all done. And that's great. Go for it if that's your thing. But if you try to do that, you're going to probably irritate everybody in your party, because not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody wants to do the same things that you want to do. Some things that you might want to consider. Get a 3-day park hopper ticket, as long as it fits in your budget. And I get that maybe not everybody watching that can do that. So make the most of what you can. And we're going to talk about some of those things a little bit later, but by trying to do everything in your day, you miss out on things. Universal Orlando has become very compact. It's actually easy to navigate, even though its size is getting bigger. They've created tremendous transportation, and it's easy to get from park to park, even if you're just walking, but also with things like the Hogwarts Express. Give yourself that second and third day. You'll be glad that you did. You'll be able to appreciate more things, and you won't feel so rushed each day you're there, which takes away from the park. It creates anxiety, and your enjoyment level, I think, is lessened, so don't do that. It also creates opportunity for you to take some time to sit down and enjoy a meal. If you're like me, and you got kids, and you've just paid thousands of dollars to get them into the theme park, you're like, man, go. Plan everything out, got a map, I'm gonna hit this ride, this ride, this ride, this ride, this ride, and this ride. I used to do that, and I regret it. I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I had just planned for a longer stay, assuming it was in my budget. Take some time, sit down, enjoy a restaurant in City Walk, enjoy a restaurant in the park. There's some very good ones, and that time of resting will be so beneficial to you, because you will feel much better the second half of your day. You're simply going to be glad you had that rest, and it's usually hot or rainy or whatever the situation is. Take some time, sit down with your family, talk about what you've been doing, enjoy a meal, and like I said, Universal's provided a number of restaurants and options for you to do that. There are great spots there at Universal for you to take a break, and if you've got 2 or 3 days that you're going to be staying at the parks, you won't feel so bad just sitting down and relaxing. And for all those reasons, don't try to do everything in one day. It's the 5th mistake you should avoid when visiting Universal.
Number 4, boop boop be doo boop.
Number 4, use the app. Don't not use the app. Download the official Universal Orlando app. It's tremendous. It's really helpful. It's really beneficial. Make it your best friend while you're there. Let me just tell you some of the things that you can do. You can store your tickets on the app. You can access wait times. You can join and enter virtual lines. You can access show times. You can pre-order food. Mobile ordering is an amazing thing, certainly during COVID, but even without COVID, it's still amazing. There are handy interactive maps that you can use. You can actually save where your car is parked, because if you're like me, a lot of you forget where you parked your car. There's a new feature, Universal Pay, and then they have a limited version that they can do for your kids. So even on your kids with iPhones, or with a phone, because everybody has a phone, your kids can actually manage their own money and you can limit their spending on it. It's an amazing feature, the Universal Pay app. There's free Wi-Fi all throughout the park, so the app is accessible and you can use it constantly. You can check virtual lines, like I said, trying to get on Hagrid's, pounding the app, those kind of things, and it opens at certain times, so you don't have to do that. They actually give you times to come back and check for openings. It's a tremendous benefit. During Halloween Horror Nights, there's trivia games. There's things like that that you can utilize while you're waiting in line. It's a tremendous help, this app. I use it every day. Literally, I check this app every day for all kinds of information, just to kind of remind myself of that feeling of being in the park. It's something I thoroughly enjoy, and I would encourage you to make the app your best friend. It's beneficial. It's helpful. It's just awesome. It's a great app. They've done a great job of making this a companion for you while you're at Universal. So for all those reasons, the fourth mistake to avoid is not using the app. Download it and use it. You'll be glad you did.
Tree and a half. Wait, tree or tree and a half?
Number 3 is kind of unique, and probably you won't find this on too many other lists like this from different YouTubers or websites. But I think it's important. I grew up in Florida. I lived there most of my life, and so the heat is not necessarily a big thing for me, but it is for people who are visiting. Do not, the third thing not to do, don't underestimate the heat and the impact that it has on your physical being. It impacts your body. It makes you tired. It makes you cranky. It does a lot of bad things. Prepare for this. Wear a hat. Bring a good pair of sunglasses, good walking shoes, because when you are in the Florida heat for such long stretches of time, it wears you down, and it's not going to be fun. Don't underestimate this. One of the top questions I get is, how hot is it going to be in such and such a month? It's Florida. It's hot year-round. And if you're going during the summer months, the parks are going to be crowded, they're going to be full of kids, and you're going at the hottest time of year. And those temperatures and that humidity will undo you and undo your family if you're not careful. Prepare for it. Bring sunscreen. Keep hydrated. Universal will give you free water. If you have a water bottle, you simply go up to whatever kiosk and they will fill it up for you. And you can get ice as well. Listen, don't underestimate the heat. This is a killer. The Central Florida sun is just about as bad as the South Florida sun. It's the sun, and it's hot, and it will drain you of your energy, and it will spoil and kill your good time if you don't prepare for it properly. Maybe this should be number 1, but I'm going to keep it at number 3 here. So for all of those reasons, the third mistake that you should avoid is underestimating the heat. Don't do it.
Number 2.
Number 2. I've talked about this in multiple videos. Now, you might not be staying on site, and if you're not, you don't have access to early park admission. If you are staying there, take advantage of that. Get there early. But even if you're not, get there at rope drop. In the mornings, Universal's not nearly as busy as it is in that 10, 11 o'clock time right before lunch. That's when it really starts to get packed. Kind of the locals are coming in at that time, people who aren't there to spend the day, who just want to come in and hit a few things, and it's busy. But by getting there early, right when the park opens, no matter which park you go into, whether it's Universal or Islands, I suggest you go right, because all the popular stuff in Universal is either straight ahead, and at Islands, it's to the left through Marvel Superhero Islands. Don't make a beeline straight for the Wizarding World. A lot of people do that, and it's a mistake because it's crowded early in the morning. But everywhere else isn't. And so if you're going to these parks, take advantage of getting there early. Be there before the park opens and make your way to the attractions that you want to hit. You'll get a lot done before noon, and that's when most people start to eat. And what you're going to do is keep going. Keep doing it. Eat later. That's a free one for you, because that's a benefit. You can get stuff done during the lunchtime hours. And I'm telling you all of these things because I want you to enjoy your time when you're there. So for all of those reasons, number 2, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is not getting there early. Don't do it. Now I do have an honorable mention, and it's very simply this. Don't miss out by not using the single rider lines. Now this is the reason this is an honorable mention. For me and my family, I'd rather wait in a line together with my family to ride with my family than to split up and do single rider lines. And we have done Universal thousands of times. We've hit every ride, every attraction. And so we still like riding together. I don't want to go through Men in Black in a different cart than my wife and my daughter and my son and my daughter-in-law. I want to go in the same cart because it's just more fun to me. And I like experiencing that with my family. So for me, this really isn't an honorable mention. I wouldn't even factor it in, but I'm not everybody, and I think for most people it is. Don't miss out on taking advantage of the single rider line. You will cut your wait times in half sometimes. It's actually really kind of cool. And not everybody in your party is going to want to do the same ride that you do. So imagine you're waiting in line for an hour to do an attraction that you don't even want to see. Split that time in half by taking advantage of the single rider line. You'll be glad you did. That's why this is your honorable mention. Now, before we get to the number 1, I'll recount the top 5 so far. Number 5, don't try to do everything in one day. I'm going to encourage you to get at the minimum a 3-day park hopper pass. I think you'll be glad you did that. Number 4, take advantage of the app. The Universal Orlando official app is amazing, tremendous benefits, and you'll be glad you've used that. Number 3, don't underestimate the heat. You'll be really glad you didn't. Wear a hat, bring sunscreen, good walking shoes, and stay hydrated. And number 2, you just heard me talk about it. Get there early. Don't miss out on that. Don't sleep in. You're on vacation and I get it, but this is a different vacation. It's a theme park vacation. You're there to do stuff. So get up early, get the kids up early, and do it. You'll be glad you did. So here it is.
Number 1!
The number 1 mistake to avoid. I've already mentioned it. It's kind of tied into number 5. Buy a park-to-park ticket. Don't buy a single park ticket unless it just doesn't fit in your budget. And if it does, make the best of it by taking advantage of all the other options I've given you. But if it's in your budget, buy a park-to-park ticket for your entire stay. You will miss out on the Hogwarts Express, which is a tremendous, tremendous attraction. And it's a great benefit going from park to park. Universal Orlando is not so huge that you can't do multiple things in multiple parks every day, even on the busiest days. Granted, it's getting harder to do that as it grows, but you can still take advantage of that. Buying a park-to-park ticket changes everything, especially when you know that over the course of 3 or 4 days, however long you're staying, you're going to be able to hit everything that you want to hit. You cannot do that at Disney anymore. I don't care how far out you plan. You are having to get your Fast Pass 60 days in advance if you can, and you're still only going to get to do 2 or 3 choice things in a day. That's just how big Disney has gotten, how crowded it gets. Universal is different. If you get the park-to-park pass, you can hit just about everything you want to get done in a 2 to 3 day period. If you go in a non-peak time, you can do it all in one day. I know because I've done it. And it's just a benefit to you. Don't miss out on this. If it's in your budget, buy the park-to-park pass. You will be so happy you did that. Trust me on that. Just make sure it's in your budget. Don't spend frivolously. Don't go into debt to do this. Be responsible. But at the same time, if it does work out for you, make this happen. You'll be so glad you did. And for all those reasons, not buying a park-to-park ticket is a big mistake that I don't think you should be making. So go ahead and do that. Hey guys, as always, I want to thank you for being a part of this. Remind you to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you can be made aware every time we put out a new video. The channel's still really growing rapidly, and it's all because of you guys. I appreciate you so much. Please put your comments in here, things that you think we should be avoiding so that other people can benefit from this. And as always, listen, whatever you're doing right now, go do something really cool for somebody else and just watch how it pays back to you. It's an awesome thing. Be well.